Resource Watch is brought to you in association with Tebe Investment Corporation.
Welcome to Resource Watch, where we look at what's making news in the commodities sector. In tonight's show, we find out how global mining giant Anglo American is weathering the storm in the South African mining environment and where it is in its plans to get rid of its platinum mines. I'm Kukule Tumfupi, in for Nozipho Mbanjwa. Well, let's kick off now with stories making headlines.
South Africa's three largest platinum companies, Anglo American, Impala and Lonmin, have warned that profits remain constrained. The producers have finally signed a new wage deal with Union AMCU, which has been on strike since January. The 3-year wage agreement provides a R1,000 increase for the first 3 years for the two lowest paid bands of workers. Africa's and the world's top cocoa grower, Côte d'Ivoire, expects its gold output to rise by about 10% this year, while manganese production will jump nearly 18%. This as new mining projects start up. The West African nation is pushing development of its long-neglected mining sector in an effort to diversify its economy away from agriculture. And diversified mining group Exxaro is warning it would write down its R5.36 billion investment in the Mayoko iron ore project in the Republic of Congo. Exxaro says a new study shows the project was not economically viable based on revised capital, operational cost, resource and long-term iron ore price assumptions.
Well, there's renewed market expectation that Anglo American may sell its troubled $1.4 billion platinum operation in South Africa by 2015. Now, the group is the world's largest platinum producer, and it's been reviewing its global operations with a view to restructure. Anglo American Platinum has been, or rather seen, its output disrupted by a 5-month-long strike. We're joined today by Khanyisile Kweyama. She's Executive Director of Anglo American and Vice Chairman of the South African Chamber of Mines. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Kuku.
Perhaps if you can paint us a picture of the impact that the AMCU strike has had on your platinum operations in South Africa.
Collectively, the three mining companies that are on strike in the Rustenburg area have had revenue losses of up to 20 billion rands, and we account for close to half of that. The employees themselves have lost close to 10 billion in wages in the 5 months. So not only has it had an impact on the companies, it's had an impact on the employees in terms of earnings, as well as obviously on the country. It's
indeed not a very pleasant state of affairs, because as Anglo, you're reconsidering or considering the sale of your local mine. How imminent is that?
It's still under discussion, Gugu. About 2 years ago, as the Anglo Platinum business looked at restructuring its whole business. Not because of strikes, but because underground mining and the ore body in the Rustenburg area in particular, we needed to look at new mining methods. I should add that Anglo American does not only operate in the Rustenburg area. We have other mines in Limpopo, in Mogalakwena, and all those. We do have other operations that we are not looking at exiting it.
Does this mean perhaps that it won't be in 2015, been pushed out further?
We are not in a position to say yet when. It is under consideration. We obviously will look at the results once again in June, at the end of June, and make a determination as to when.
The key focus, though, still on platinum. No doubt the strikes have been ongoing for quite a while and impacting GDP and several other economic indices here in South Africa. Your view on the sector, is it potentially doomed, or are we facing tough times ahead with regard to mining in South Africa?
Not doomed. I wouldn't use the word doomed. As I said, in platinum specifically, we are seeing quite good progress in the Limpopo region, going even into Zimbabwe. As Anglo American, you will probably know that we do mine other commodities in South Africa, such as iron ore. We have major coal operations in South Africa, as well as diamonds and manganese. So our future as Anglo American in South Africa is long into the future. But whether Rustenburg is sustainable in its current form, that is a debate that is ongoing in the group at the moment. Clearly, as we delve into that area, we are coming to the conclusion that we need to look at mechanizing, we need to look at others, and maybe that is an opportunity to weigh our options when we have to make those decisions around underground mining.
How soon could that come to your local operations?
Look, we believe it's overdue. So we do have local operations that are already mechanized, even within the Rustenburg area, and we have been looking at different methods of mechanizing in the Rustenburg area. So 5 years, 10 years, it's as soon as that.
From your perspective, when you look back at the ongoing labor issues that we've had, not only in platinum but in other mining sectors as well, you mentioned that mechanization is slightly overdue. Is there a period in which we could have capitalized on that opportunity and had a smooth transition into mechanization but didn't capitalize on it?
Definitely, and part of the reason of not capitalizing is that in order to mechanize, you need a different type of skill of a workforce. And typically a mine worker has not had much of your basic level of mine worker has not had much tertiary education. And once you start talking about operating machines, electronics, then you need people who have studied maths and science, you need people who have some level of tertiary education, and that has been a hindrance, for lack of a better word, in terms of developing a full-blown mining, mechanized mining strategy. So as we look at the strategy with an accelerated focus, we are then seeing, for instance, 5 years ago, you could get into a mining operation when you had standard 8. And we started winning that off and saying a minimum is metric. And what that does is that it enables us to train employees beyond metric because they are ready for tertiary training.
What will the picture of a typical South African miner look like in the next 5, 10, even 15 years?
Hopefully they'll be sitting in an area where the machines are going underground and going into as deep as possible, if that's where the ore body is and where you have to extract the best value. But it will be people that have the ability to sit at a computer and program it and redirect the machines so that, just in a very simplistic manner. There would have to be engineers. I know that often there is a comparison that is made between Australian miners and South African miners and how Australian miners earn 20 times more what a South African miner is. But what people omit to do when they do that is that the Australian miner is typically a very highly skilled engineering type of person. So we also get involved quite a bit in debates and policy around the education system, because as employers we are saying we need to have the type of person exit the education system that has trained them ready to fit into the work environment.
But South Africa is in a rather unique position with regard to this, because we have a very strong labor force, very strong state force, very strong corporate mining force, and there's a distrust issue between the three. With the brink of mechanization coming through to the South African mining arena, how do we do so in order to allow labor to interact proactively with regard to this?
Look, it should not be contradictory. I think labor should, the labor unions, by labor I mean labor unions, should have an interest, and to some extent have an interest in ensuring that the workers are safe, that the workers are as best skilled as can be, and that the workers have an opportunity to advance even further in the workplace. So it is a conversation that we have had in the past. Unfortunately, that conversation is not happening now because we are distracted by the labor unrest. But it has been an ongoing conversation, and labor unions are very much part of that. Government is a key partner in that. It is in the interest of any government that its citizens are as skilled as possible. I don't think any government is looking at saying, well, we're happy with standard 8. They want people to be at tertiary education level. So that's a conversation that is conducive to all of us. The mistrust element is one that I think we are very much aware of, and it comes from the legacy of mining, where there has been mistrust for over 100 years. And to expect that we are going to rebuild that overnight is very difficult. However, we have seen that through institutions such as the Chamber of Mines that are constantly focused on saying we are all committed to this country, that it's in all our interest for the mining industry to thrive because it's such a core of the South African economy. And when that industry thrives, when the South African economy thrives, the mining companies become more profitable. So we have a common, and when you are more profitable, you can provide more opportunities for people.
Well, that was Khanyisile Kweyama. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, it's extremely strong but light. It's used in aircrafts, mountain bikes, and even in golf clubs. It's our gem of the week.
Carbon fiber is a strong, stiff, lightweight material that is popularly used in specialized high-performance products like aircrafts, sporting equipment, and motorbikes.
Well, carbon fiber is an acrylic fiber that is basically woven or spun into yarn or tow and then put onto a bobbin, and then from the bobbin stage it goes to a weaving plant or a plant that weaves it into different types of fabric. Carbon fiber is imported into South Africa. Basically, there's no manufacturing plant in South Africa. There's about 6 plants worldwide that manufacture carbon fiber. But it is imported into South Africa in the bobbin form or in the actual fabric form. We have a couple of local weavers that weave carbon fiber fabrics, but most of it is imported.
AMT Composites is a specialized supplier and technology partner to the South African aerospace, marine and manufacturing sectors.
Right down over here we've got what we call a twirl weave fabric. It's basically a 2x2 twirl weave fabric. It's got, it's a meter wide. We can just pull it up and show you what it's very, very flexible. So it's very nice for working into molds. And then obviously this has got no resin impregnation at the moment. That will come at a later stage once you start producing. When we want to mold carbon fiber into a part, this is a mold. This has been just a small little mold demonstration of a mold. You could take a fabric, you would choose possibly a twirl weave fabric because it has great drapeability, and you could then use an epoxy resin system together with the carbon fiber, and you would then impregnate the fabric. You would cut the fabric, put it in here and impregnate the fabric with the epoxy resin, and that would give you a very strong part. Once the customer wants to produce a part, he will then cut it, he will put it into a mold, and then put this whole part into an autoclave, which is basically a pressurized oven. And the temperature is raised up to approximately 140, 160 degrees. And at that temperature, the resin then turns to fluid and it starts to cure. And after a certain amount of time, it's then taken out of the oven and allowed to cool down. And the resin that was sort of in a liquid form has then solidified. It is cross-linked and made into a solid form. So it's a very strong but lightweight product.
70% lighter than steel, 40% lighter than aluminium, carbon fiber is one of the most corrosion-resistant materials, making the highly durable yet powerful material a biker's dream.
Well, that's how we end this week's show. Do talk to us on Twitter @Gukumfupi, and our hashtag is ResourceWatch. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.